Hey there, this is Schism here. I got a 2,500 point pitch battle. My Warriors of Chaos versus Ogres. Alright, starting on my opponent's left, he has a Saber Tusk, 4 Lead Belchers, 2 Mournfang Cav, no command. In his center, he has his Gut Star with 14 Iron Guts. And in there, on the far left corner, he has his BSB with Armored Silvered Steel, Great Weapon, and a Luck Stone. And on the other corner, he has an Ogre Tyrant, his general, with an Iron Fist, an Armor of Destiny, and an Ogre Blade. To the right of that unit, there is 9 Bulls, and in there, he has his level 4 with an Iron Fist, Dispel Scroll, and Sword of Might, bringing him up to Strength 5, which is nice. For spells, he rolled up Troll Guts, Spine Marrow, Tooth Cracker, and Bone Crusher. Not a bad set to have for the Ogres. To the right of that, he has another Meow Meow Kitty. He has 4 Lead Belchers, and finally another Meow Meow Kitty on the end here. Starting on my left, I have 5 Warhounds. I have a Gorby's Chariot with a Mark of Nurgle, and then this block of Chaos Warriors here are 22 strong with a Mark of Nurgle. They're sword and board, full command, and in there I have a level 3 sorcerer with a Mark of Nurgle and a Dispel Scroll. And for spells, I rolled up Miasma of Pestilence, Plague Wind, and that Poison 6+ spell. So I wasn't too happy with my roll for spells here. I really don't like Plague Wind. I haven't had the best luck with it, and I really don't like poison attacks on Chaos Warriors. I just don't. I do like the Miasma spell because it's cheap and it can have a great effect with the -1 to hit already on all the Nurgle units, because when someone needs 6s to hit you, it can be very difficult. So I do like that spell. The other two, I don't really care for. And forming the center line here, I have 22 more Mark of Nurgle sword and board warriors with a musician and a standard. And riding this big gnarly bear here is my BSB on a demonic mount. He has the Talisman of Preservation, the Helm of Many Eyes, Mark of Tizniche, and an Enchanted Shield. So he's got a 1-up, 3-up, and he rerolls 1 for his failed ward saves. And in the center here is my Demon Prince, his general. He's got Wings, Chaos Armor, Mark of Nurgle, Charm Shield, Scaled Skin, Sword of Striking, and Soul Feeder. To the right of that, there's another Gorby's Chariot with a Mark of Nurgle. So that's 3 Gorby's Chariots with a Mark of Nurgle. To the right of that, I have 3 Dragon Ogres with additional hand weapons. There's just another picture of the center. And to the right, there's 5 Warhounds, and then another 3 Dragon Ogres with additional hand weapons. Now I won the roll for turn 1, and I moved up, as you can see. Move my dogs up the farthest to try and bait out that Saber Tusk, and just a general advance up at the same pace as the Gorby's Chariots. And I took my BSB and I moved him out from the middle and moved him behind this left flank here. And as you can see, I took the Warriors. I moved them up a little bit further ahead to try and to tease the Iron Guts there. And I moved them right up the crest of the hill. Now, it's very important to note here, we treated this hill as a rolling hill, but those 2 sides with the rocks there, we treated as impassable terrain. So nobody is going over those jagged rocks there. So on my right flank, I move my Gorby's Chariot up his 6 inches. I take my general and I move him over to the right flank here, because I know these Lead Belchers are going to take some pot shots at either my dogs and my Dragon Ogres, and there might be a test over here. So if I'm going to test, I want to test on a 9. I use my dogs to shield my right unit of Dragon Ogres, and I'm going to get ready to charge his Lead Belchers off this board next turn, hopefully. So I got my BSB on the far left flank giving rerolls, and I got my general on the far right flank trying to give his leadership 9 out. In the magic phase, I cast that poison spell on the Woof Woof dogs to the left there, and I managed to get Plague Wind off, and I rolled a 2, so it went a piddly 6 inches in front of me. Yay. Turn 1 for the Ogres. He took his Meow Meow Kitty, and he charged my Woof Woof dogs here. And on the far right flank, he charged his Saber Tusk into my Chaos Warhounds here, and I held. He moved up with his Lead Belchers, so he's within 12 inches of my Dragon Ogres to get some short-range action on. And you can see he pivoted his Sorcerer's unit to face this flank as well. And you can see his center line here. He moved his Iron Guts up a little bit here to get in charge range next turn of my Chaos Warriors. And his Mornfang inched up a bit, and his Lead Belchers also did as well. In his magic phase, he rolled a 5, and he threw 3 dice at Bone Crusher, and he got it off, and I just let it go, because it's strength 2 hits, I'm toughness 4, so he needs 6s to wound me. Well, he rolls 11 hits, and then he rolls 3 wounds, so there's 3 wounds off my Dragon Ogres already. And then the shooting phase, he opens up and just shreds the Dragon Ogres. He did another 5 wounds, so there's 1 wound on that last Dragon Ogre left. And this other unit of Lead Belchers here opened up and shredded 3 of my Chaos Warriors. And the combat, the Saber Tusk kills 2 of the Hounds, and he overruns into my Dragon Ogres. And there you see the Hounds fleeing. And you see the Dragon Ogre, he failed his test from massive amount of casualties, and he is fleeing as well. So my right flank with 6 Dragon Ogres, Demon Prince, Warhounds, and a Chariot, it doesn't seem to have the same effect on the game after turn 1 as I thought it did at the beginning. So my right flank hopefully won't completely fall apart here. And on the left flank, I couldn't believe my eyes. He took out 1 on my Chaos Warhounds, and I had 3 attacks going back at a Saber Tusk, and I got poisoned. I poisoned the Meow Meow Kitty to death. So as much as I hate the poison 6+ spell, at least it did something this game. My turn 2, I declared charges with all my Gorebeast Chariots, and I connected with them all. Lucky me. So he's got a Gorebeast in his Lead Belchers, Gorebeast into his 2 big Mornfang cav there, and in the top right of this picture you see my other Gorebeast chariot made it into his ogre block with his level 4. I took my dogs here on the bottom left, and I reformed them to face the opposite direction just because he's got the Gorgers, and I just want, in case he wants to bring him in on this flank, he can't. I have something to redirect him so he doesn't get into my BSB. I don't want him tied up away from the action. So, and there you can see the Gorebeast chariot on the far right connected with. Now it's mainly just to keep him in play, and I took my Demon Prince and I charged his Lead Belchers so I don't have to endure any more shooting since the Dragon Ogres are still tied up with a Meow Mix Kitty over down here. And my Dragon Ogre failed to rally, so there he is continuing to run off the board. In the combat over here, you can see those dice down below there. That's my rolls to hit and or to wound. I managed to get 1 wound through, so I did 1 wound to these Lead Belchers, and he actually did a wound to me. Now I have a 1-up armor save and a 5-up ward after he needs 5s to hit me and 5s to wound me. So actually he needs 6s to hit me, and he needs 5s to wound me, and he snuck a wound through. And you can see here the Dragon Ogres beat the kitty, and they didn't actually kill him. I only managed to do 1 wound to him, but I managed to win the combat, and I overran. Well, I pursued him off the board, and I caught him, and I went into. I was 1 inch away from getting into his Lead Belchers. In the combat here with impact hits, I did 4 wounds to his unit, and he did no wounds to me. Over here, I did 4 wounds on the impact and the attacks from my Gorebeast chariot on his Lead Belchers. He did none to me. And again, the Mornfang combat, I managed to sneak 2 wounds through him, and he did 1 to me. But all of his units held. So Ogre's turn 2. He took his big block of nasty in the middle here, and he charged my warrior sitting on the crest of the hill. Now he was about 13 inches away, so he needed like a 7 to get into me, and I just didn't want any part of that. I didn't even want to see the dice rolled, so I fleed, and he rolled a 1 and a 2 on the charge, so he just trundled forward a few inches. He took his Saber Tusk, and he takes it to the side of my Gorebeast chariot for some combat res. And a Gorger comes into the board right in front of my fleeing Chaos Warriors. So as they try and run away from the big block of nasty, instead they're met with a death-frenzied big nasty Gorger. And his first spell, he went to put Spine Marrow on the Mornfang, a boosted version. He rolled triple 1s, so that ended his magic phase. And in the combat phase, my Demon Prince doesn't fare too well again. Now, granted, he needs 2s to hit and 2s to just straight out wound, and he only puts 2 wounds on the lead belchers. And they manage to sneak another wound through on the Demon Prince. So the Demon Prince is already half dead just from 3 lead belchers swinging at him. But those 2 wounds was enough to sway the combat. And he still had a rank, so he was tested on a 7, but he failed and he ran away. I chose to reform with my Demon Prince to face this big tasty bull unit here. And I have my Dragon Ogres just standing by there anyway, so my turn's next. I should just be able to charge them right off the board. Combat with the Gorby's Chariot. I throw 2 attacks on his champion in the unit. I managed to put 2 wounds on him, and that's all I managed to do. And his Saber Tusk managed to actually sneak a wound on my Gorby's Chariot, but I managed to stick thanks to my General's leadership nearby. In the combat here, I did 1 wound to the Mournfang. I finished off that 1 Mournfang, and he did 2 wounds to my Gorby's Chariot, just from this lone Mournfang model here. But I managed to stick. And on the far left here, this Gorby's Chariot fared much better and munched on a couple more Ogres. So I win the combat by oodles, and he breaks. I just choose to reform to face this other Mournfang to get him out of the picture. My turn 3, I take my Dragon Ogres. I charge his lead belchers off the board. Now at this point, I have all his shooting subdued, so I take my level 3 and I move him out of the unit. I put him right by that impassable terrain, so he's out of danger's way. I take my Gorby's Chariot on the left and I slam it into the side of the Mournfang. I take the dogs, I reform them. And I did rally the other Warhounds from the other side of the board, and they're starting to creep back into the pictures, as you can see. However, the Dragon Ogre just fled right off the board. There is no more pictures of him because I hate him. I take my Demon Prince, who just got done scaring off the lead belchers, and I charge him into the flank of his bulls here. So I pin his sorcerer in combat, which is most amazing and awesome. In the magic phase, I throw 2 dice at Miasma. He dispels it. And I throw 5 dice at Plague Wind. I double 6 it. And I send the Vortex. It goes 24 inches straight through his whole entire Iron Gut unit. Hits most every model in there. And I only managed to do 2 wounds. So what a waste Plague Wind turned out to be. And I rolled a 4 for the miscast. And I Dimensionally Cascade. And I killed 2 of my Chaos Warriors unit here, which I'm quite fortunate. But I also sucked my Sorcerer into the warp, so he's gone. My magic's done, Kaputski. Thank you, Dimensional Cascade. I love you. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Over here in the combat, I do 3 wounds to the bulls. And I soul feed back my wound on my Demon Prince. Over here, my Gorby's Chariots managed to finish off the Mournfang. So, and I choose not to overrun. I restrain and I stand there and stare at the side of his Ogre block. And turn 3 for Ogres. Now, he makes this charge. He rolled a 10, and I think he needed exactly a 10. It was a long charge. He was all the way on the other side of that hill and then some, but he manages to clip me in the Hanus. So this is not good. I did not expect him to make this charge. So, and he pinned me in first with his Gorgia, who charged me, and I wasn't about to flee back into his Ogres, and it's just a nasty game of pickle. So, yeah, the Gorgia sticks, and I didn't predict him to make this charge, and, I gave him an opportunity to roll the dice, and he rolled the dice, and this is what happened. So, about to get butt munched by a bunch of Iron Guts here. So you can see that Plague Wind still chilling out there, which probably should have dissipated when the Wizard died, but it has no effect on the game. He manages to sneak through Troll Guts now, so his unit has regen. And in the combat, I managed to do 2 wounds to him. And he manages to win the combat by Musician, because he's got a rank and a banner, and he had a flank, I had a flank. Anyways, it goes down to Musician. I don't have one, so I have to test. My Demon Prince, of course, he stays, but my Gorby's Chariot fails, and he chases him down with this Saber Tusk. So there goes one Gorby's Chariot. And he reforms his bulls like so to face my Demon Prince. In this big nasty potluck of disgustingness, I managed to put a wound on his Gorger, I do a wound on his Lead Belchers, and then he does a gluttonous 10 wounds to my Warriors, and I break. He chooses to reform with his Iron Guts, and he tries to chase me in the Gorges, but he falls just short, and so there's my Warriors on the end. And I take a multitude of dangerous train for fleeing over this Gorger here, and one more dies, and there's my banner lying down. They're taking a nice dirt nap there. My turn 4. I charge with both my Gorbeast Chariots into the rear of his Ogre Bull unit. Only one makes it. I take my BSB and my other block of Warriors, and I just promptly run around the Rosie here. We got the Benny. Cue the Benny Hill music right here, because they're just trying to run away and get out of line of sight. Because remember, those rocky crags there are impassable terrain. So there they are running around, ring around the Rosie in this hill in the middle here. My Warriors down below, they actually make their rally test and turn around to face the gorgeous Gorger here. And there's just another picture of the Chargers there with the Gorbeast Chariot, one making it and the other one fell short. With the impact hits and all the attacks, remember he's got regen up still. You can see my Dragon Ogres reform there from taking off the Lead Belchers. But I managed to do 5 wounds to him. He doesn't touch me in return. He breaks. I run him down. And here we have a nice high 5. Oh, yeah, in the middle of the board. My Demon Prince and my Gorbeast Chariot meet up with the BSB and the Gorbeast Chariot from the other flank in the middle of the board. How amazing this was. This was a funny moment just because it really looks like they're about to high 5 here. And there it is. You can see the board a little bit further away, just a better shot. Now at this point, he has this big, giant, nasty block of Iron Guts. He's got a Saber Tusk, and he has 2 Gorges left who are gonna slap around some Chaos Warriors. So Ogre's turn 4. He takes his Iron Guts and he wheels as best as he can around these rocky crags here. And my units just look like they're in utter disarray. They're just facing each other and away and this way and that way. Oh, well. He takes his Gorger and he charges into my Chaos Warriors unit. I managed to do a wound on him. He does a wound to me. He's got a charge and he's got, he does a wound. I don't have a banner anymore, so I only have combat res of 1. I'm steadfast because I at least have, a rank, but I managed to botch my roll. And he dies, so now you have the 2 Gorges just sitting out munching on dead Warriors in the backfield. That stinks to lose those points there. That was a big pickup for him. I just had to make a leadership 8 test, and I couldn't do it. And you can see here that the dance continues as we try and, this is the, Indy 500, as we try and do laps around this hill. I was march blocked with my Chaos Warriors by the Ogre unit there, so they only moved a piddly 4 inches, but my Gorbeast Chariot is in a foot race here with the other one and my BSB. And my Dragon Ogres come in the middle because they want a high 5 too, so here they come. I take my Demon Prince, I park him right in front of this Ogre unit, because if anybody can stop the mayhem, it can be him. So I park him right in front of the Ogre unit. And his turn 5, he charges his Ogre block into my Demon Prince. I issue a challenge, except with his Ogre Tyrant, and this is pretty much the end of the game. His Gorges were way out to do anything. His Saber Tusk wasn't going to charge anything and just get, slapped to crap shit. So he issues a challenge. I issue a challenge, accepts his Tyrant. First round of combat, I do 2 wounds. He does 1. Next turn, I manage to sneak a wound on him, and his turn 6, I manage to sneak 1 more wound on him. So he's still alive with 1 wound left at the end of the game. That's a shame. So some notes. This turned out to be a really close game. I ended up with 1,202 points, and the Ogres sopped up a hearty 1040. So it was a very, very close game. Slight victory to the Warriors. Some notes to go over. Impassable terrain can shape games, and man, did it shape this game. The way he put his Ogres in the middle there, they really only had, they could either go commit to the right at the beginning of the game or commit to the left at the beginning of the game. and or they could go middle. I put that Chaos Warrior unit there to purposely try and bait those Ogres, to try and munch on them, so that forced him through the middle. And once he committed to the middle, it really allowed me to pick off the other elements of his army on the flanks with my other units and not devote too much. Unfortunately, he got a lucky charge, and he managed to box in that Warrior unit with the Gorges, so he did manage to pick up those points, whereas I was expecting to, preserve those points, hopefully just flee again, and by the time he actually was able to get me in a position to charge me, I would have been coming at him from all sides. But no, it didn't turn out that way, but it actually proved to be a quite an interesting game because of that. So the impassable terrain definitely was what dictated this game, and especially since he had that one Death Star unit in the middle there. It probably would have been a lot more effective on either side. But once I saw that go down, I kind of knew what I had to do. Plague Wind, like I love the Nurgle lore in Chaos. There's a lot you can do with it. I wasn't happy with the spells I roll, and the signature spell I really don't like. So whatever I roll, I stick with. I really think I need a level 4 just for that extra spell, but I don't really want. I can't fit the points with a Demon Prince in the list. Every time I cast Plague Word, nothing but crap happens. So this was just evidence of it again. But when I only have 3 spells and one's poison 5+, and miasma only counts if I'm in base contact, Plague Word, I gotta cast it. I just wish it could be effective for me. And so far, it's proven nothing but a nuisance. It's cost my caster in multiple games now, and if nothing, it's misfired and it's ended up on my own head. So Plague Wind, not too impressed. I guess I'll have to cast it if I roll it, but it's something I really hope I don't roll that, too often. Dragon Ogres in this game, I gotta get out of my mindset that they are a main combat unit for this army. In this unit, they are just chaff, and I really need to start using them as just a beefy chaff unit. I always think so much of them, and when they have an underwhelming performance, I get mad at them. But like they essentially are this army's chaff. Not that they should be thrown away like chaff, but they're there to hunt chaff, kick chaff off the board, and if they can contribute to anything more than that, then that's amazing. But they are there just to hunt chaff, and I should expect very little out of them. Although, how beautiful the models are and how big and beefy the models are, and, strength 5, 4 attacks, you expect a little more out of them. But, I really can't get heartbroken when they just fail me again and again. In this game, they really didn't even swing the way they saw off a saber touch and they chased some lead belchers off the board. Other than that, they just really didn't do anything. But they didn't need to, and that's the beauty of this list, is they're essentially just chaff. And yeah, so I just got to keep that in mind when I use them. And yeah, the Easter basket of the Easter basket of ass kicking is what I call the Iron Gut Death Star unit, because it turns the game of Warhammer into an avoidance game. And what can you feed the Easter basket of ass kicking? Because it's just full of just big, plump, juicy eggs and all sorts of just hate and baleful scorn. So yeah, once I saw that, the impassable terrain was my only answer to keeping that from out of the bulk of my points. If I had defeated a chariot turn or whatever, I would have had to do what I had to do. But luckily, the board provided me with an easier answer. And man, that is one scary. It is so tough to get. Short of having a purple sun or some sort of some shadow magic to deal with that, a pendulum, Panera Bread pendulum, or even Pit of Shades. It's just tough staring down, the double, the double barrel ass kicking that is the Iron Guts. So, yeah, it was a good game. I thank my opponent, and thank you.